What is up, everyone? Welcome to the video. My name is Sarah Rayon. This is my first video talking in front of a camera, so hopefully I do okay. What this video is going to be about is mistakes I made, things I learned from those mistakes, and some exercises, some tips that I've learned throughout my journey with IT band syndrome. And the reason why actually I'm making this video is because these past several months, I've done a lot of research and I've watched a lot of videos, and many of the videos on YouTube or online, they're coming from a physical therapist perspective or a physio perspective or doctors in general, which is great information. I learned a lot from those videos. But not many videos are from someone who's actually experienced the injury or who is dealing with it currently. And hoping my voice kind of is helpful for people out there. And even if you don't have this injury, I hope I can bring value to your day with this video. Hopefully this video is short and sweet. I will do my best in doing that. So before I get into mistakes I made, things I learned from IT band syndrome, and tips and exercises, hopefully will help you, and up some other information maybe. Give a little backstory on myself. So if you could tell from my past videos, they're mostly basketball. It's because I've been playing basketball since I was 6 until age 22, and I'm 23 right now. So I started running a little over a year ago, but if you take this injury into account, it's not even been a year. And during my running experience, I did my first race in November of 2022. And then pretty immediately after, I got injured with the IT band. And how it occurred is, at the time, it didn't make any sense because I was about to progress into my marathon build, my first marathon, and I had an easy 13 miles on a Saturday, and then on Sunday I had my day off, and then Monday I had my 8 miles easy. And during that 8 miles I was feeling fine until the last mile. I felt a little pain in the lateral part of my knee, and I didn't really make much of it. And then the next day I had another 8 miles easy, and I kid you not, I could not even get to a half a mile. I was in so much pain, and it didn't make any sense to me because I've never experienced pain on a run before. And I texted my coach, and he kind of thought maybe it was IT band, and I didn't really know what IT band syndrome was, so I was Google searching like a crazy person about it. And it was during Christmas time, so I couldn't really get into a PT. So it was about a week and a half or so before I got to see a physical therapist. And that's when they diagnosed me with IT band syndrome. They palpated my IT band. It was just in a lot of pain. There was tightness in my glutes and my TFL. So, and a bunch of other stuff. Basically, strength was not there in order for my IT band to stop pulling on these muscles. So that's the background of how it happened. And now I'm gonna get into mistakes I made with this injury and things I learned from those mistakes. Mistake number 1. So since I didn't get to see a PT for about a week, I thought that I could treat the pain by foam rolling and rubbing the IT band. Do not foam roll, do not rub your IT band. It's gonna cause a lot of unnecessary pain. And the reason why I say not to do that is because your IT band is not a muscle, it's a tendon. So you could foam roll it, rub it all you want, it won't stretch. It does not act like a muscle because it's not a muscle. So that's the first mistake I made. And what I've learned from that mistake is that you can foam roll the muscles attached to your IT band, and that will loosen up your IT band. So the muscles that are attached to your IT band, so the IT band runs right here, and then it runs along, and then it splits and attaches to your TFL and your glute muscles. So those are the muscles you can foam roll during your recovery time. So that is mistake number one, and what I learned: don't foam roll IT band, don't foam roll your IT band, foam roll and stretch your glutes and your TFL. Mistake number two. Okay, this is a big one. Cross training. So cross training is essentially like an activity you do that's not the sport that you're training for. So for me, running is something that I enjoy doing. That could be a cross training activity for a cyclist, but I'm not a cyclist, but I do like to run. So I wanted to keep my cardiovascular fitness up, and during this recovery period, so I did a bunch of biking. I did the elliptical, the step climber, the pool, and at the time, those like several months, I didn't notice any pain doing those exercises, but I was still experiencing a lot of pain whenever we tried to run. And the reason why I say that's the mistake I made is because as soon as I just crossed out the cross training, my recovery was so much better. So in my recommendation, as hard as it is to do, because it took me a long time to just completely stop it, that's my next mistake, is the cross training, because it can irritate your IT band because of the angle, the constant flexion and extension. It may not seem like you're irritating it, but there's a good chance you might be delaying your recovery. So that's the second mistake I made. I've gotten this advice from a lot of different people, especially Sarah Hall. If you don't know Sarah Hall, she's an Olympian marathon runner, and she went through IT band syndrome for 8 months. And she told me that I would just cross out cross training. She said she noticed a lot more progression with her recovery, and she healed a lot faster once she just stopped it altogether. And she said you're gonna lose some fitness, but you can just gain it back once you get back to running or whatever activity you're doing. So my last mistake I made, it's a little personal, so hopefully it's not too personal, but mindset. So a lot of people, when they get injured, they think the worst things that could happen. Oh, I'm never going to get back to where I was, or I have to, like, physical activity is like my coping mechanism. What am I going to do without it? Who am I without it? You sort of have this like identity crisis with it. Injury sucks. Don't get me wrong, especially this injury, because it feels like there's no finish line. There is a finish line. It's just eventually will happen. So the mindset mistake I made was I had a fixed mindset during this injury, or towards the beginning of this injury. I thought that my only coping mechanism was physical. If you think just one thing makes you who you are, or how good you're at something, like me, physical activity has always been a mechanism for me for some type of release and a refocus. But once that's taken away from you, you kind of go into this downhill spiral, essentially. So what I've learned is that there's so many parts about you that you need to explore. And for me, I've learned so much about myself and other coping mechanisms that help me get through this. Specifically, like, actually, I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, that's my third mistake in what I learned. All right, so those were my mistakes, what I learned from my mistakes with IT band syndrome. And now I'm gonna get into like some exercises and some tips. You could take my information with a grain of salt. I've been going to PT every single week for the past 4 months. So I've gotten these exercises from an actual doctor, a doctor of physical therapy. So the exercises that I believe that really helped were exercises that target your glute medius. So your glutes are made up of not just your glute max, a big butt muscle, but there are smaller butt muscles in your butt. So your glute med is going to be your best friend during this time. And what really targets that are clamshells, lateral band walks, monster walks, single leg squats with your foot elevated on a box, hip hikes, and hopefully while I'm talking, I'll show a video of me doing these exercises. And I'll also link my Instagram, and there's a video of like, if you have knee pain, these are exercises you should be doing. But essentially those exercises are really gonna target your glute medius and make them really, really strong. Those are the exercises that's really helped me. Now I'm gonna go through a couple tips. So my first tip, obviously strength training, your rehab, really take advantage of this time to focus on strengthening these muscles because they're so dang important when you run. Second, I would have someone watch your mechanics or film yourself doing running. Things that I've learned about my mechanics is that I need to speed up my feet faster, so your cadence. Having a slight lean forward. So now that you have a slight lean forward, you're going to naturally speed up your feet with a slight lean forward. And those were two like major changes in how I run now. And that's really helped. Third tip, stretching. So you want to stretch your glutes and your TFL. And some stretches that have really helped target those that have really helped me. And I do them about 2 times a day. And the first one is a 90-90 stretch. So basically you're going to be in a 90-degree angle on both legs, and you want to, this is gonna stretch your glutes and your hip flexors. So you wanna pretend that your hip is going over your butt, and you're gonna lean slightly forward with a good posture. Do that stretch, it's a really good one. The kneeling hip flexors, because your hip flexors are also a main culprit of your IT band pain. You want to be up against a wall, and you're going to be in a kneeling position, and then you're going to tilt your hips forward, and you're going to stretch your quads and your hip flexor. It is called the figure 4. So a figure 4 is going to be like this, and then if you want more of a stretch, you just lean back and you pull your leg towards you. The last one, I don't have my rope with me, but you would use a rope and you would stretch your hamstrings out by having it up and then across and then going the other way as well. So I do those stretches 2 times a day, 3 rounds of 30 seconds of each, so 2 times of doing that. And then 4 is foam rolling your glutes and your TFL. So what I do is I have a ball, like a softball, and I put it on my TFL, which is right here, and I just foam roll it back and forth. And then same thing with your glutes. So you have a ball here, and be in a position of figure 4 position, and you're gonna roll out your glutes. It's gonna hurt a lot, but that's the necessary pain that you wanna be enduring, not the foam rolling the IT band. That's unnecessary pain that's not going to do anything for you. Hopefully this video is really helpful for anyone who's dealing with IT band syndrome. I'm sorry you're dealing with that injury. It really does suck and it's very frustrating, but know that you'll get to the finish line. You might not be able to see it right now, but you'll get there. And remember, you're building something stronger. This injuries can teach you a lot about yourself. It's definitely taught me more things than I ever thought about myself. So hopefully this video is helpful. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Sarah Rayon, and hopefully I'll post more videos of running once I get back running. And yeah.